Welcome everyone to the Super Boob Tube Dudes podcast. I'm your host Dan T. Sarecchia, and my other co-host here is.
Tyler Hoskin.
All right, how you doing? How you doing there, Tyler?
Not too bad, not too bad. Busy weekend. Super Bowl party happening tonight, so
Nice.
we're getting all ready for the bowl.
What are you guys eating tonight? You said you were making chili earlier.
Yeah,
Right?
I got chili in the slow cooker, and we got some meatballs,
Nice.
quinoa pizza bites, which
Oh,
are
interesting.
delicious. It's quinoa with some pepperettes, and you have a pizza tomato sauce to dip them in.
Pepperettes are those like pepperoncinis?
Yeah, they're
Oh, okay, cool.
little
I've never
pepperoni
heard of them called
spicy
that
things.
before. That's cool. Yeah, I have leftover chili my girlfriend made last week. We're just gonna throw it inside like a piece of bread, like a chili boat.
Nice.
So we're gonna do that and have some cheese, and we're just kind of just gonna hang out. It's just us two, no big party. So that's what we're doing.
Right on.
Did you watch? You watched everything this week, right?
I watched everything but Lucifer this week.
Okay. Yeah, my list is the shows I watched were Lucifer, X-Files, Supergirl, Agents of Carter, Agent Carter, Flash, Arrow, and Legends of Tomorrow.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm with you on all of those except for Lucifer.
yeah, and no iZombie. We're not watching that.
Yeah, I couldn't get into that one yet. So
Yeah, that's not my show. I never did watch any of it from the start. I hear a lot of people like it, and I don't know. I just didn't try it or anything like that.
Didn't
I kind of
catch
feel
ya?
like I should, just so I could. But now I'm like two and a half, like a half, or was it 2.5 or 1.5 seasons in? It's like I don't know if I can get into 30 plus episodes right now.
yeah, it's not easy to catch up to shows like that.
Right, especially the 45, 42-minute shows.
Yeah, takes a long time.
Right.
That's
So
that's
this
how I
week,
feel with
oh,
Walking Dead right now.
oh, I know. Oh my God, yeah. That could be a bear with
Yeah,
all those episodes,
so
especially when you said you're like on season 3,
yeah,
sort of.
yeah.
So yeah, that could be kind of much.
So I'm gonna do my
Um,
best. I got the summer, I think, to catch up with that. And
all right, wait till this season's over,
wait
and
till
then you
this
can
season's over, and I'll catch up.
power through all that. So this week we're going to introduce I guess a rating system. Isn't that right, Tyler?
Yeah,
For everybody.
a little bit of a rating system.
So what we're doing is on our website. There's going to be we're going to launch it here pretty soon once we get the hang of what we're building here. What Tyler is building actually. He's got all the tech stuff going on for a rating system. So starting from the newest episodes now, because we're not going to rate old episodes because that would just kind of mess up our, I guess, a tracker, how we're going to track our totals. So with whenever we launch it, we're going to start with that week's episodes, and we're going to rate our shows, and then toward the end of the season we'll see where those numbers lie, basically just for fun. It's not, it doesn't mean anything other than just kind of have a good time with what we're doing. And we're also going to introduce you listeners to this, to the rating system, so you guys can go online on our website and rate the shows yourself. You'll be able to do that, a 1 through 10, sort of like a volume rating. We keep with the TV theme. So how high are you gonna raise the volume on this show and then that show and all the shows that you might be watching. So even like we said, we're not watching iZombie, so we'll still have that up there for the listeners who do. So we're not excluding any shows that are superhero or comic based. So everyone has a chance to vote for what they like, and then we can see where it goes, and then go from there. And then at the end of the season, or at the end of every season, because they all end different times. Sometimes we'll tally the votes and kind of do an end of the season review of how we rated the shows. It's just something kind of fun to do with the listeners and fans of the show and everything like that. But first, we're going to start with us to kind of get it rolling and see how it works with our ratings. And we'll do that with every episode. And at the end of the week, the like Sunday-ish, isn't that right, Tyler? We'll close off those. How will we do that? Do we have a deciding vote on what that's gonna look like?
You know what? We haven't figured out how to close it off just yet. So
Okay, okay,
it it might be better if we go the current episode, and then once the next one gets out there, that'll be the close off date. So like for things like Agent Carter, it airs on Tuesday.
Oh, no, that's a good idea. No,
So
that's a very good idea.
it'll
So
be
that show has a full week.
that show has a full week. So right now, we're on episode 4, and then so it'll be so on Tuesday episode 5 will be in the rating system, and
Right,
then until episode 6 comes out, you have that chance to rate episode 5.
right. But however, like we discussed this off the air with Agent Carter and like say X-Files, because we're adding X-Files just because it's a good show, and I mean it also is a comic even though it was a show beforehand, but we're adding X-Files to the list of super and comic book style TV shows just because it's a fun show right now, especially with that latest episode.
Oh, that latest
But
episode
with
was
oh yeah,
rocking.
so good. But with that show and Agent Carter, since they just started, we're gonna keep those first few episodes open, starting from episode 1 on the new season. So those will be starting from 1, and the shows that we start with that have come back from like the winter break and everything, they'll start with the episode that we're going to launch the rating system from. So if we're on episode 13 next week of like Supergirl, so if we launch it next week, we'll start with 13 and so on with the other shows. So we'll rate from there. And I know this season and this year is not going to be a complete accurate rating, but it'll still be fun. It'll kind of get us primed and prepped for say next season or even the summer seasons of whatever shows are going to start. See, like Fear the Walking Dead and other things like that come on towards the summer. So we'll get those the rest of the seasons rated, and then just kind of it'll kind of be like a practice half season, if you will,
Yeah.
with what we're trying with the rating system and how the show goes from there. So that's the rating. It'll be like I said, like volume based. Like the lowest volume is obviously 1, the highest volume is 10. And are we gonna do an 11, like super,
If it's
extra high
super
volume?
amazing, we're gonna turn it to 11.
Okay, cool. So we'll turn the volume up or turn the volume down. That's kind of how we're gonna do it, and how the listeners, you guys, will do it as well when we're on the site rating. So that's that, and so we watched all the shows except Lucifer here, and we won't have to really talk too much about that. I just kind of get into it, and um, I guess I'll just talk real quick about it. I'm really interested in the show. I had no desire to watch this show at first. I was just kind of like, I never read the comic. It just, oh, the devil, this and that. And I'm not terribly religious or anything, but I mean, it's fiction and it's a comic. And I decided to just, to give it a shot. I had some time, and I was actually really surprised with the first episode. The character who plays Lucifer, or the actor, he's really good. He's a British guy, and I mean, I've never seen him do anything else. Like, this is the first thing I've ever seen this actor do. I'm sure he's been in lots of other stuff,
Yeah.
but he plays off the character really well. I mean, he's not terribly evil, but I mean, it's just very interesting. He has like these powers of like he runs a nightclub in New York. Basically, it's the devil. He's taking a vacation from hell. He's like, I don't want to be the king of hell anymore. I don't want to deal with the souls and hell and everything. But then there's like this archangel guy. He's like this. I can't remember the actor's name, but he's an African American guy, and he's like really like pissed off with Lucifer because he left hell, and he's kind of a dick. Like, the angel's a dick. And he's like, he really hates him because he's like an archangel, so he's like a kind of like an angel of war, and they really haven't
Right.
gone into him too much. He's just there, and he's kind of watching him, and he's like, I'm gonna take you back, and I'm gonna kick your ass and take you back. And Lucifer's like kind of afraid of him, but he's also very like nonchalantly kind of like waving a hand at him, like, you know what, yeah, screw you, guy. But in behind the scenes, he's kind of a little bit afraid of this archangel guy because he might actually whip his ass. We don't know yet. So the Lucifer is kind of just hanging out with a couple demons running this nightclub, and he ends up finding this like super hot like detective chick who I guess did like a nude scene in a movie once in her storyline.
Yeah.
And so he kind of meets her in this case and of this one girl that I guess Lucifer was like helping because he's very interested in humanity. Like he hasn't been on Earth much other than when he was like the snake in the Garden of Eden or whatever, and when he made his choice and the devil or the God sent him down to hell to be the ruler of hell and slither in his belly and all this stuff. So he's there on Earth. They're just very interested in everybody, in people and their lives and their choices and stuff. And when his power is like when he kind of gets near them, he's kind of like a lie detector in a way, and he also has like this is just this ability to make people open up to him, and they tell him their deepest darkest desires. So when he's with this detective chick, I don't know her name, but this female detective, and he's trying to solve this case from this woman who got murdered by this guy. It was just like a drive-by that someone paid this dude to just shoot her, and he really kind of liked this girl because he was watching her kind of, and
Right.
like she used to work for him,
Okay.
and then and he kind of watched her kind of like turn around her life like for the better, and it was interesting to him. It's very interesting to see him just like people watch and like figure out what they're gonna do, and because he doesn't know humans very much. He's very enamored with like the human personality and what other people around do. So when she got murdered, he got pissed, and he was like, she was doing well for herself, and I mean, it doesn't seem like a very like devil Lucifer thing, but I find that like not that he's putting aside his evilness, but I mean, he's not all that terrible in the show, and with this, the fiction that they're writing for this character, but he will punish people if they've done wrong. And that's kind of like what he does when people make their choices, they go to hell, and then his job is to punish them as the devil, right? So in being on Earth and what he's doing, he's still an angel, whether he's fallen or not. But he has this kinship with like humanity in this way that he's very interested in what they do, and and when his friend, this girl, got murdered, like he ended up finding this like I said, the detective, and he's like, we need to figure out who did this and punish them, and he's trying to figure it out too, because I mean, he's not omnipotent, like say God would be.
Sure.
So he kind of teams up with this detective, but she doesn't believe who he is, even though he's totally telling her that he's Lucifer and he's the devil. Like, he has no problem with, he's not keeping any secrets.
Right.
That's what's really cool about the show, because you always see main characters who have this ability or this power or whatever, and they try to hide it. He has no problem telling her who he is, just no one believes him.
Right.
so so it's just, that's why I really like the show, because it's so different from say a hero character, even though he's in the hero spot, as Lucifer.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he still he just blatantly says that who he is and what he can do, but no one really takes it as fact or and believe him. That's why I'm interested in the show,
Oh, that's
and
awesome.
because it's so different from something else, say like a superhero TV show where they're trying to hide their powers and abilities. But
Right.
and the it's I like it, and I'm going to keep watching it. I find it very interesting. And I feel that this show, we should start at number one for the rating system as well. Um, and we can rate those, silently, while we uh, on the page once that's up and everything, and then go from those episodes once you start watching, if you get a chance to pick that up. But I'm
Yeah, it's only
digging
a
it a
couple
lot.
weeks in, so I should be able
Yeah, it's
to.
only 2 episodes, so it's actually interesting, fun to watch, and they actually play out very fast. They're not as slow as some shows might be. Like, for some reason this week, and the Agent Carter is still not my top show. I don't I'm not digging it so much right now. First season was so much better, but what did you think about Agent Carter? We'll just start there.
Yeah, Agent Carter. It was again. Yeah, you're right. It's a slower episode for sure.
Yeah.
Uh, I feel like they're building up to something.
Yes, I think they're really going slow with the Hydra stuff. Like
Yeah.
they're building up very slowly with that.
Yeah, so something's gonna go down, and we're gonna. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there. I have a feeling it's gonna tie very well back into um, Agents of Shield.
You know what? I agree, and I heard something, a little bit of a news piece saying that there's going to be like a secret revealed in like a movie type sort of secret big like event thing
Yeah,
that happens from something that happens in this show in this season. So like
interesting.
something big is going to happen in Agent Carter that reveals something else in that hasn't been revealed in like the future part of the Marvel universe,
Right.
which is kind of cool. What do you think of her sort of backstory as a kid?
You know what? It was intriguing, but I found it kind of useless, to be
Filler.
totally honest with you.
Yeah.
It was
I mean,
like,
it's interesting to see where she came from. I mean, not that it really matters. I don't know why people do this on like Facebook and online when they're like, "Oh my God, she had a love before Steve Rogers." Yeah, who cares? I mean, she
yeah,
likes someone. I mean, what? Why is that such a big deal? Is she not allowed to have another love than Steve before she met him? I mean, how old was she
yeah,
in the army? Like
exactly.
25?
Yeah, when she met Steve, like she was already well off
Grown.
and
Yeah.
well into the spying and all that
Hmm.
jazz. So, I mean, it was nice to see Whitney Frost's background and Peggy's background kind of going back and forth. Like, I liked how they did that, but I still
Yes.
felt both of their background stories were just kind of a bit of fluff.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. It wasn't as not, I wouldn't say important because it is for the shows and the characters, but it just wasn't as interesting
Right.
as they could keep going with what's happening on the show. Um, but I like to see, maybe it's just bad timing for them because we have already seen so much Agent Carter that now we're getting backstory on her. You know what I mean? I mean, I
Mm,
feel like this could have been something they did in like the comics, you know, like do it like a origin of Agent Carter comic that
right.
really doesn't have anything to do with the series or with this season.
Sure. Yeah,
But
yeah.
I don't know. It's still my lowest show out of all of. If we were rating them, it would be my lowest show right now. I'd probably give it a watchable at a 4 or 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I
Um,
was gonna go with 6, but yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's not that bad. I mean, if we're doing like A, B, C, D, F grades or whatever, I wouldn't give it a D or an F. But yeah, it's just not up there with like Legends, which is like nine,
Oh,
10, and
this week in
X
Legends
Files
was.
9, 10.
Oh man.
You know, okay, let's do Supergirl, and then we'll go in depth with X Files. What do you think of Supergirl?
You know what? It wasn't a bad episode too, because it was Bizarro, right? So, like, it
Yeah,
was.
yeah,
I found, I found the fight scenes between the two of them were kind of.
lackluster.
Yeah, it was kind of like, oh yeah, I could do this. Well, I could do this too,
Hmm.
or like the reverse of it, because it's obviously Bizarro, right?
Yeah,
And
that
so
was
they,
kind of cool though. I like the idea that they're like, oh, she shoots fire from her breath and ice from her eyes. That was a really interesting thing.
yeah, it was like how they did it was cool, but I mean, there was like 3 punches thrown,
Yeah,
and
and then the whole she steals Bizarro, Supergirl steals Jimmy, and he's trying to get the comm device to contact her, and I don't know. And what was really cool though, like it was Melissa Benoist as the very beginning stages of Bizarro, and then they
yeah,
cast a different actress to play her. You
very,
notice that it
very,
was
yeah,
totally not her, Melissa Benoist, as the actual crackled face
right,
Bizarro.
yeah, it wasn't her. That was it
And that
was,
kind of threw me off a bit. I mean, not that it's like the biggest deal, but I was like, I kind of wish it was actually Melissa Benoist because it would have
it
been kind of cool.
it would have made more sense.
Yeah, I mean, especially with it just felt like it was like a trick because it was her, and then they changed her face, and you could totally tell even under the makeup.
Yeah, like
And
it was the same girl that was comatose. Like, it's the same actress that was brought in as a Jane Doe.
mhm.
So when Lord did his thing to make her look like Supergirl.
Yeah.
Maybe when the
Oh,
kryptonite
when
hit, it reversed all
oh,
that.
that probably makes more sense. Okay. No, I'll give you that.
Like
That makes a lot
that's
more sense.
just to kind of get an explanation out of it, you know?
Yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it definitely wasn't as good as the episode before with Martian Manhunter,
right.
but it was still interesting.
Very interesting. And that fucking ending?
Oh, yeah. The ending with the Mercy tentacle monster.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's based on a Alan Moore annual issue of Superman, uh, where the monster, the Mercy, it's called Mercy, the Mercy tentacle monster attaches to his chest and gives Superman, it like shows Superman a world, like a perfect world. So like Krypton never got exploded,
Right.
never died, and he was like still living on Earth with his parent, or on Krypton with his parents, and all this stuff. It was like the perfect world. So that's what they're gonna do with Supergirl. So they're taking that story and they're doing that with the next episode, which is kind of cool. So that's why we got to see this young version of Kal-El
Right.
on like I guess the what's it called,
The little promo?
yeah, a little promo thing. So
Next
we're
week
seeing a
on.
young Kal-El because he's grown up and he's like, well, probably like 8, and Melissa Benoist is there, and I'm pretty sure both Jorah and is it Laura Kal-El, Laura L, or anyway, his parents, and then Melissa Benoist's parents on Krypton. So that's kind of like her perfect world. Krypton hasn't been destroyed, and I think that's what we're gonna have. We're gonna have a first, our first look at Krypton in her mind, basically, because of
Right,
the Mercy
right.
monster, which is pretty cool. I'm interested to see that.
That should be good. Yeah, that
Yeah.
was my holy shit, what the hell just happened at the end of this episode?
Yeah. See, I almost forgot with our picks. I think I picked. I don't know if I picked that one or the Felicity thing.
Oh,
They're
that
they're
was
they're, they're
good
very
too.
close. They're very close to me. I mean, together for me.
Yeah.
But this one's kind of cool because it was like, what the hell is this? And then the thing like grabs her and then it's over. Like, what?
No.
Yeah, you're Supergirl. So we got that. It was still good. The ending really pumped the episode up more for me. I think the Supergirl thing was just kind of like a throwaway for kind of a filler to bring
Yeah.
something different. But good show. Very good show with that one. So how about that X-Files episode?
Oh my god. This episode of X-Files, Kumail, funny, holy, like the whole episode was hilarious.
Yes, definitely.
Right? Like Fox and Dana like pretty much switched roles for the beginning of the episode.
Yeah, very much. He was very like down on himself with everything being explained in the beginning.
Yeah.
And she was still like, I want to believe, because now she's like, I just got pulled back into this stuff after like 15 years, and I'm gonna have some kind of feelings about this, whether it's sciencey or not. I'm still gonna try and believe in other things, and then. Have you ever heard of Camille Nanjiani's he has a podcast. You ever heard of his podcast?
I
It's
have,
called
yeah.
X Files.
Yes.
And so I listened to the most recent, and he was talking about it a little bit, and he was talking to both Anderson and David Duchovny about the show, and while they were on set and stuff. So it was pretty cool, and it was like super cool for him because he was like, it's like my favorite show, and I get to be on the show.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know?
No, and as the bad guy.
Yeah, and it was just so funny. Who is the guy that played the Lizard Man?
Rhys Darby?
Guy Man.
Rhys Darby?
Yes, he's hysterical.
He
I need
is
to find
so
more stuff
funny.
that he's been in.
Have you seen Yes Man?
Yeah, I've seen that, and I remember him from Flight of the Conchords as the band manager,
That is correct, yes.
and that's all I know him from. But I have to see more of him because he's just he cracks me the hell up, and I love his New Zealand accent so much.
He's a very, very funny guy.
So I mean, if anybody didn't see the show, it's basically there's a lizard man, and Fox and Scully, they go after to figure out these deaths. These there's like these bite marks out of people's like necks, and like jugulars been ripped and stuff. And they're trying to figure out who's doing it. And they think it's this lizard man. They're going through the detective type paces, and
Yeah.
then Fox ends up finding uh, the guy, this guy that he thinks is
Who
the lizard man, and the
who is
lizard man kind of
named
spills his guts.
who is who has named himself Guy Man.
Oh, it's hysterical. But the funniest thing, which they don't ever really explain or say out loud, but the funniest thing is that it's like a reverse werewolf. Like
Yeah.
the Kamel is the bad guy. He's like this crazy dude that's like ripping out people's necks with his own human teeth
Yeah.
because he's just a sick, crazy person. And he bites this lizard monster that's just hanging out. And he turns into a human instead of like the reverse. A man turns into a werewolf. It's the lizard man turns into a human, and
And
it's just so funny.
and I think what made this episode was the fact that we were all along with Duchovny going, okay, is it really a lizard man or is it
Yeah,
not? Like we didn't know until the end that it was
yeah.
really
Oh
a
man,
lizard
I
man.
was, I was
Like
I was
we
dying. I was laughing so hard. I
that
watched
th-
it again last night with my girlfriend,
that
and we were just
scene,
cracking up.
yeah, that scene in the cemetery when they're going
Oh
back
yeah.
and forth explaining the entire thing.
He's like, "So you killed that person?" He's like, "No, I had to find a job." And stuff like
Oh,
that. Like he had these human urges. He's like, I've never felt these human urges before. He's like, these desires, and he's like, the desire to kill people. He's like, no, the desire to find a job.
and
And
and all of
oh
a sudden
man,
I was the manager.
yeah. He was like, I don't even know what I'm saying. He's like these gigablitz, and it's like this rectangular shape of this phone. He's like
Oh,
working at like a phone store.
it's
He's like,
so
I don't even know
good.
what I'm saying. He played that character so well as just like this. I'm a bumbling human that's never been a human before, but
Right.
everyone thinks that I'm a human. He's like, I'm able to bullshit my way through anything.
Well, are you bullshitting me right now?
And he's like, I don't even know. I don't even know the half things I'm saying. Oh my god, great episode. Completely opposite from the first two episodes.
Oh yeah, and like it's hilarious. Like this is not your typical X-Files episode either, right? Like
No,
it's totally a
it has the monster feel, like it's a monster episode, but it's like the reverse. So we're getting all like the funny side of this other, like this monster that explaining the story instead of Fox and Scully explaining the story.
yeah.
So it's not like a dark monster like, oh, we have to find this killer. It's like, wait, we kind of have to empathize with this, or maybe figure out, because Fox is so interested. He's like, is he real? And
Yeah.
oh, it's good. It's just so different from anything, but completely what we what fans I think of the X Files want from the X Files. That wasn't like the first two episodes, very conspiracy government like, which is very what they did with the movies that are very
Right.
conspiracy theorist sort of
Yeah, I mean,
style.
and I think
Oh,
we've got Mulder back on believing now, right?
oh yeah, with that last handshake, like he still wasn't sure, and he just changed right in front of him, and he was like, "Whoa, he was real."
He was telling the truth.
Yeah. Oh man, the dog part, the Dagu. Oh
Yeah,
my
oh, it's
God, I
so
couldn't
funny.
stop laughing. He's like, Dagu, Dagu. And then it was so sad. It was like his little story was like funny, and then he tells the dog story, and you're just like, oh my God, it's so freaking torturous. It's like it's so mean. The dog, it's
But
just good.
the good thing is Scully's got the dog at the end.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she found Dagu. Oh, that's good. You think Mulder's gonna tell her that that's the Dagu dog, or is she gonna name it something different if she's
Oh,
gonna keep the dog?
I think we're gonna see the dog for a while. I hope we do
Oh,
at
okay.
least. Oh, it's too funny.
Yeah, fantastic episode. Definitely worth watching twice, like I did.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh man, Like if I ever need like just to laugh, that's like the episode to put on like right now.
Even talking about it just makes me laugh.
I know, it just makes you smile. I loved it. And the way Fox, like when Scully says, she's like, "This is the way I like my Fox." You
Yeah.
know, this is the way Mulder should be.
And the motel with
Oh yeah,
the
the
secret
guy
hallway.
and the guy's like drinking freaking rubbing alcohol. Oh man, it was like they never explain it, but you look at it, you're like, he's totally drinking rubbing
Oh yeah,
alcohol
because
right there.
he puts it in a little cloth and puts it on his eye, and then he takes a swig.
Oh, it's just so weird. He's like, monster, monster. Oh man. So that's X-Files episode 3, and Arrow. Let's do Arrow now. So we got the calculator this episode, which was
Yeah,
kind of cool.
which is
I
very
like the
cool.
actor who played him. I can't remember his name, but he's been in lots of other things and movies and stuff. But really creepy, computer techie internet sort of
Yeah,
terrorist.
Tom Amendez.
Is that the actor's name?
Yeah, I think that's how you say it.
Yeah, he's been
A M
in
A Amendez.
Mendez.
Yeah, Tom
Huh.
Amendez.
Interesting. Well, yeah. So we have this basically like this hacker terrorist, and the gang kind of has to take him out. But also we get Roy Harper back.
Yeah,
He's like being controlled by some contact lens that's kind of like in his system or something like that.
yeah,
Is that
that's
right?
it. The contact lens is seeing everything that he sees, and
Being controlled by it,
yeah,
by the calculator. Yeah, he's like kind of mind controlling him through his tech.
which is
Um,
crazy.
yeah, very crazy, very different. And then we got this. They think he's trying to take down the internet, but really he's just trying to basically shut down technology so
Yeah,
like more
raise some
people can
hell.
die.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's just a techie terrorist. And I guess at one point of the episode they talk about how he's just trying to shut down like electricity and like in hospitals and things so people can just like they'll just die without any any tech to keep them alive and stuff, which is kind of that's pretty scary. I mean, it's a lot scarier than just saying, "Oh, I'm gonna shut down the internet." you know.
yeah, absolutely.
And Roy Harper, they help him, and he comes back as Arsenal, which is cool. And then also Thea. What are they calling it now? That's kind of like taking over. And they
Or
also reference that in Legends of Tomorrow with
the bloodlust.
yeah, the bloodlust. There you go. That's what they call it. Yeah, like they're because of the Lazarus Pit stuff.
Yeah,
Like their bloodlust kind of comes in and out,
yeah, and they
and
need
it's
to
kind
kill
of
people
making
for
them.
it to subside.
Yeah, yeah. So it's they have to like kill people. Like you said, it's just it also resonated with White Canary there.
Yeah,
Which was
they
just kind of cool how I like they connected those two episodes in that way, which was very interesting to me.
they
Especially
basically
with the way it did Flash and the Felicity callback.
yeah they basically need to keep going with they need to keep killing people to keep themselves alive, or else they die.
Yeah, it's very interesting. It's like a mystical sort of disease that
Yeah,
they have because of the Lazarus Pit bringing them back,
very
which
cool.
is very interesting. So, well, she almost died, right? She was like couldn't breathe.
Yeah, and the stab wound from Roz, the old Roz,
Mhm.
came was starting to come back.
Oh, that's right. Like her inflicted wounds or her wounds were coming back, but then it healed up. Um,
Yeah, it's a
Now I don't remember a question. How did she get out of the bloodlust like pain that she was in? I can't remember. Did she end up killing someone?
no. It kind of went away. So like
Right. It's
she's
just like I
still
said, it's
not.
just going in and out, right?
Yeah, she's still not better or anything, but
Hmm.
it's getting worse due to the fact that with her encounter with Damien Dark,
Oh, okay.
right? So because when he tried to use his little magic heart stopping motion on her that one time,
Uh-huh.
it backfired.
Huh.
So she got more of a bloodlust, like it kind of calmed that down, but I think because of that it's amped up what's
Right.
happening because she's gotten that the I guess the taste for an epic death.
Mhm.
she needs to figure out how to get that back, and that's what Merlin's doing around trying
All
trying
right.
to figure
Yeah.
that out.
Yeah, and there's still that we still don't know what he's going to do with Vandal Savage's ashes. I mean, that's still in play too,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean, because we're only seeing the past Vandal Savage in Legends of Tomorrow. So he still has this secret that he has his ashes to bring him back somehow or some when, you know what I mean?
Or something, yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting. Um Now, let's talk about Legends then, since we have that connection with Thea. That was a great episode again. I think
Great
still my
episode.
my my top episode of the week. Um, we got Shiara's still effed up from
Yeah.
that stab wound, and different team ups this time, which is really cool. I really like how um, they put Ray Palmer with Martin Stein this time. That their science geekiness got together to try and save her from those shards of the that blade
Yeah.
that Savage stabbed her with. And what do you think of Captain Cold and Heatwave with Jackson?
That was a great combo.
I liked it too. Yeah.
They they played to his ideals and his like they went, "Oh, well I could do this. Oh, all right."
Yeah,
Sounds like
I
fun.
mean, he's young, so they kind of take advantage of him a bit.
Yeah.
But I mean, he's still, he's still a kid and still human, So with like, we're gonna go steal this diamond, and then when you figure out why, and he goes to see, his dad.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. I time travel just it really kicks in for me to be like the best stuff when they do that craziness. Like, 'cause, like things you never get, not won't expect, but things you like a character can see that they've never seen before, like those experiences that they have with like their past selves or
Yeah.
their past people that they know and love, but they don't recognize them. I love that. So like he meets his younger dad and his younger self
Exactly.
to give him that jewel or that diamond that they stole, so his dad won't go to prison. Um, you see the goodness, and in even though he's still a thief, you see the goodness in Captain Cold's his heart and his character
Yeah.
to try and save his dad and save like himself from the pain that his dad could inflict on him and his mother, which is it's like really good. It's just it's good stuff. Very good writing, I think, in this episode.
Yeah, this was my feel moment for the week.
It was between that for me and the moment with Ray Palmer about his fiance when he was talking
Oh yeah,
with Martin Stein.
for sure.
That was pretty good. I'm like, oh man, it was just like these guys are these terrorists and they just snapped her neck and he couldn't do anything about it. And it's just like, oh, it's just so terrible. Like you're just watching this stuff happen. And but yeah, that was a good moment. I think I almost forgot was the dad feel stuff, and then everything just still goes to shit because his dad still tries to
He
sell the
tries to
diamond that
sell
he
it.
was
Yeah,
given, and he still goes to prison. Like time resets itself to be what it's supposed to be, which is kind of cool. Like they think they can change time, which is very interesting. Now, if they think that they can change time, like if Captain Cold thinks he can change time like personally that way, how do they think they can expect to change time with Vandal Savage? You know what I mean?
well, exactly.
So like if they can't change the past, like if it'll just rewrite itself to be what it's supposed to be with like his dad, then how do they think they can stop Vandal? Um, this episode had three feely moments for me as well, because it wasn't just the one with Captain Cold and his dad and with Ray Palmer and his fiance, but also with uh, Rip Hunter when he's like totally taking revenge. He's gonna take that revenge on Vandal Savage for killing his family,
Yeah,
and he does, and he slits his throat at the end. And he says he's like, this is for and he says his wife and his son's name, and it was just like how do you think that he knows?
Yeah,
Like now
exactly.
he
Now
knows
he
to
knows.
kill them. He's like, I will remember their names in the future. It's like I will always remember their names, so I know who to kill. So you're always in this pain, and that was just like so heart wrenching. And he was like, he made a mistake, even though he thinks that he was able to kill him in that time. It was just so sad for me.
And it goes to, if they never went back, do you
Yeah.
think that that timeline still would happen?
You mean like, do you think if he never said those names, that Vandal would never kill his son and wife?
Exactly. Like
I
what
was
if
thinking
this
that
team
too, like a
never?
whole loop.
Yeah, what happens if this team never went back in time,
Hmm.
never tried to stop Vandal from doing what he did, and
Hmm.
in turn it never happened? Fuck, time travel
Well,
is so awesome.
yeah, it's so weird and confusing that way because you're like, do you think that this is the catalyst that made him kill
Exactly.
his wife and son? But I mean, maybe, or maybe this is just fate. Like in this time,
Yeah,
like even though that's the future, this is the fate that is supposed to happen to his family. Like,
exactly.
because check this out. This is very Back to the Future-ish. Like you can't. There's no like the time would stop and like a paradox would happen if if he goes it back in time and stops Vandal Savage and kills and Vandal Savage is completely stopped, then time there would be a paradox because if you're following uh Back to the Future time travel like science, there's no reason, or even the time machine time travel science,
Right.
the reason why Rip Hunter goes back in time to stop Vandal Savage is because his wife and his kid are dead. So if they stop him from
Exactly.
killing his son and wife,
He
it,
never goes
it makes a
back.
complete, yeah, it rips time apart. So I think the reason why I think time plays a factor in the reason why he says his name. Like there's an outside force that forces him to say his family's name, so
Sure.
they'll be murdered. So there isn't a paradox. You know what I mean? Like time fixes itself. I think that's the reason. That's just my, not this show lore, but that's just my like time travel knowledge of like
Yeah.
other time travels.
It depends
Like I
on what
think
time travel theory you believe in, right? Like there's
right. Oh man, it's wild. I love it. I love how they're doing this stuff. Did they say what's going on with the next episode? I can't remember. I can't remember what they said. They're still in 1975, obviously, right?
they've found out where Vandal is going to be next,
Hmm.
and it's the early 1980s.
Oh, that's right. They're going forward to the
They're
80s. That's
going
correct.
forward to the 80s and to probably find another bomb,
Right.
right?
Oh
So,
man, it's. I wonder when he reincarnated. Now, that's very interesting because we saw in the episode that he slits the dead throat of Carter Hall,
mhm,
and they all share his blood like it's a big ritual thing.
yeah.
Um, and that's just wild. I loved it. I was like, whoa, he still has his body and he's using it for this ritual to keep himself alive. Like I totally didn't even notice. I didn't even think of that. Uh, thinking of how he stays alive, I thought it was just like the power of him killing him would keep him alive, but it's no, he has to do this ritual,
Yeah.
which is very cool. It's so different and makes a lot more sense than just like, oh, the power is transferred. Like there can be only one. And because I was like, it's not just like his force, his being goes inside of him when he kills Carter Hall. It's like he actually has to do this blood ritual, which is very cool to me. In the way they write his character, it's not that easy.
Right.
So it's like if Carter and Shiara die, like the good guys need to keep their bodies away from him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's like there is a weakness in that sense. You know what I mean? It's not just like the power is transferred.
Yeah.
So that can backfire for Vandal, which is kind of cool in the future. And what else happens with that episode?
Well, we obviously don't get Carter back in this
Well,
episode.
yes, that's that. Yeah, and I don't think they will. I think they're playing Carter the way they played. Unfortunately, I mean, maybe in the future we'll see him again, but I think they're playing Carter as the Agent Coulson in the like that Avengers role. Like he's the catalyst that kind of makes them go after Vandal like even
Yeah,
harder.
fair enough.
So uh, we might see him in the future, or even in the past, but I don't know. It's hard to tell right now, especially with what's going on. I mean, we have news that they're going to go into the Old West and meet um, Jonah Hex, which is awesome.
Oh, that's gonna
Um,
be so exciting.
yeah, I'm a huge Jonah Hex fan. I mean, in the comics and everything, and I really hope that movie would have been
I was
better.
gonna
But
say, it's too bad about that movie.
yeah, well, it's interesting. I listened to the Nerdist podcast, and they had Josh Brolin on, and he was talking about it, and he was like, it was like the worst experience. He's like, the movie was bad, and he's like, I hate it because the movie was bad, and I hated the experience working on the
Oh
movie.
yeah,
And he explained why, which is really interesting to me because he's just like, they rewrote like 28 pages in like 12 days, and
oh
we had to refilm 28 pages in 12 days because of rewrites. And he's like, it was the worst experience on like a movie I've ever had. And he's like, and the movie failed because of it. And I was just like, wow. He's like so honest about it. And the movie could have been, he's like, the movie could have been so cool. And he was trying to get out of that 90s and that late 90s and early 2000s mentality of like only good actors should do good movies, and good actors shouldn't be in these superhero type fun stuff. And he's like, look at Mark Ruffalo. I mean, he's doing like Oscar winning performances for all these movies, and he's still the Hulk, and he's
yeah,
still having fun. It's like, so why can't we do both as actors? This is what we do. And it was just very interesting to hear him talk about that. Really good. That's not like we get money to promote other podcasts, but that podcast is great. And if anybody wants to go listen to him talk about that and other things he's been in, it's a pretty cool listen to hear about some quick Jonah Hex stuff. It's only a few minutes he talks about it, but I'm really interested to see that character come back on TV because I think they can do a lot better job, especially on this show of Legends of Tomorrow. And it's a good one to wait for. I'm excited to see it.
yeah.
What other show do we have left? We have The Flash.
We
You
got
want
the
to just go into the
Flash.
review with that?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, so why don't you go ahead and start?
All right. Well, this week, Flash, we've got Barry teaming up with Harrison Wells,
Yeah, from
and
Earth 2. Yeah.
doing well. He's he's Barry's kind of going, well, I don't have really anything else to do. My girlfriend left. She's
Yeah.
gone. So, do you want some help trying to figure out how to close these what's it called? What are they called again?
The
Oh, the
breaches.
breaches.
Yeah.
So, we talked about breaches all week and I just forgot the word.
Yeah, I know. It says all these different the 52 worlds are breached, and they're breached on Earth 1 and Earth 2. Is that correct?
Yeah, so there's 52 breaches on that they can find. So, which is incredible. And
Well,
I
there was
believe
one
they
part of the episode when they use that like bomb to close the breach,
yeah.
and when Barry throws it, are they just throwing it in like dead space because they know that's the location, or are they actually throwing it at a breach they can see? Because when I saw it for the second time, I watched it earlier this morning, it was like Barry just threw it super fast at nothing, and then like it hit a invisible breach, and then
Right.
it closed it.
Well,
That's what
I
happened, right?
yeah, I don't think they can't see them physically, but they know where
Right.
they are.
Okay, so they know the exact like
Yeah.
location based on like triangulating it
Yeah, I
and
believe it
everything like
was
that.
in season 1 where they found or maybe it was earlier this season. I don't remember. But
I think you might be right.
they
Or
found they found some way of tracking all the breaches,
mhm.
and they had a little map of them all, and the biggest one is in Star Labs
Okay, right.
somehow.
No, that's correct. That's
So
correct.
my theory is I think they're gonna close them all except for the one in Star Labs.
Okay, that's like their plan. So they'll keep one because he said that one down, 51 to go. So there's still 51 breaches, going with the whole DC 52 Earths.
Yeah.
So and what we've already seen, which I guess we can also talk about here after the review, but um, there, we have Earth 2. That's one breach that's open, and
Yes.
then we have one of the Earths was closed in that episode. So that's a third Earth that's been closed, or that's one of the Earths of the three that's open, because we got Earth 1, Earth 2, and now a breach that's been closed. So that's three. And okay, so in the beginning of the episode, they kind of, um, Barry and Wells get together to try and obviously stop Zoom and close these breaches, but also this other guy they show like 2 years ago. This guy, he like owed money to these dudes, and they used to be like in juvie together or whatever.
Yeah.
And they threw him in like this pit of tar, or this stuff in this warehouse, or this complex, um, like factory or whatever, and then he like died. But then, it was 2 years ago, so they weren't very far from the explosion from the accelerator, the particle accelerator. So the particle accelerator blew up, and then it gave this kid in the tar these powers. And Cisco, names him, aptly Tar Pit, which is kind of cool.
Well,
And
awesome.
they
I
love how
love
they just play that
Cisco in his
nonchalantly
naming.
now.
I love Cisco in his naming. I love it. It's so much
Yeah,
fun.
at first it was like, okay, this is kind of cheesy, but then it was like, this is a great idea. So that's the villain basically, and they did him awesomely, I think,
Oh, it was
especially toward the
fantastic.
ending. I was like, oh my god, it's like, why can't they do? I mean, if they can do Tar Pit the way they do at the end of this episode and spend a little bit more CG on like Gotham, they could totally do Clayface.
Yo, for sure.
And it would be the most perfect thing, especially even if it was like very horror like. And he was like, they don't have to waste so much of the CG money on, like, if they keep him like hidden and he's only like seen a little bit or in the dark, like that would make Clayface a lot scarier. I think just be out there like hitting stuff and making axes and mallets with his fists and stuff, which is still cool. But I think they can make him a lot scarier on Gotham, being that it's such a dark show. But so we got basically Tar Pit's back to life with this power to, he's like, they got the power of like a volcano and tar, like this hot tar. So he's
Yeah.
trying to take, revenge or vengeance on these guys that killed him. And in the meanwhile, uh, we got Harrison Wells from Earth 2 trying to steal
Trying to steal the
his
Speed
speed.
Force.
Yeah, while um,
And they start to notice because he's 2% slower,
yeah, they track his speed and they figure
right?
out he's a
So
little bit slower. That's right.
he even notices it during the that one drag race.
Yeah, because you got
You got Wally.
yes, Wally is still kind of doing his drag racing stuff, and then you have what's her face, Iris.
Iris shows up to the
Yeah, she
yeah
shows up to try and kind of be on his side,
yeah
because you got her father, that's just like kind of trying to be a friend to him so he doesn't lose him
right
instead of being his father. And like you got, it's really weird for him because he hasn't had his son, and it's like forever, and now here's his son, and he doesn't want him to go away, so he doesn't want to be hard on him. So he's trying to support him, but he still has these like fatherly feelings, which is he's very conflicted with how he should be around Wally. So it's kind of hard time for him, but
yeah
Iris kind of sees that, like, we got we have to keep, he has to be safe. We don't want him to like die, or like they say, get wrapped around a tree in one of these wrecks. And uh so then she kind of tries to support him a bit, but be there to keep an eye on him during the drag race. And then that's when Tar Pit shows up to try and take revenge on one of the other guys that was in juvie with him. Because it's like this guy, he's just, isn't he just trying to go around and just kill all these guys that he was in juvie with, right?
I think he's just out to get the two guys that put him in the pit
But
because
the two guys, remember the one guy he killed, and then the other guy the Flash saves, but then they use him as bait. But then there's that other guy who's like the leading the drag race. That
right
guy wasn't part of their group.
no
He was just,
he was the one driving the car. Okay, so if you
you mean
remember
like, yeah,
in the flashback, the three of them drove him to that spot,
Oh, okay,
And the
but the other it was only the two guys that were hanging him upside down.
right, the two guys were hanging
Okay.
him upside down, and the third guy who organizes all the drag racing was the guy driving the car.
Okay. Okay. Oh, that's right. Because then he's like the drag race guy, and
Yeah,
he starts up this thing. He's like, I get 5 grand a day. Why would I stop? When he's like, Iris tries to,
yeah,
she records him and everything.
yeah. That's the guy.
Oh, that was a scary scene, dude. I was
That
like,
was
is this guy gonna try and kill her right here? And then she's like, I'm recording all of this, and she is so scared. She's
yeah,
actually a pretty good actress in this episode. Like she played that scared, like I might die in this situation, but I still have this one thing over your head, kind
yeah.
of.
Very cool.
Like, yeah, it was pretty good acting on her part with that scene. I really dug that scene. So yeah, then Flash can't use his speed to try and save Iris when that
Yeah,
crash.
he's not going as fast as he used to. So that piece of glass that he's trying to catch, he can't get there.
Yeah, they're the cars are racing, but you see the tar pit kind of laid some bumps in the road on that drag race, and then he makes that ramp, and it makes Wally just like go up and try and do like a backflip kind of thing.
Yep.
And then we got Flash. He goes zooms in, saves Wally. Then zooms saves the bad guy from the car landing on the bad guy, and then the car topples over and glass and everything, and Barry's running really fast and whacking glass and the mirror out of the way and all this stuff, so before it like hits her, but then he can't reach that one piece, and it just launches right into her shoulder, like close to her heart kind of thing. And he's like, I'm not fast, because earlier in the episode with Wells, he was like he was like sneezing or huffing and puffing, or what was he doing? He was like really sick, or he was yawning. Yeah, he was like really tired.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's not Barry. And he's like, you all right?
Yeah. And I mean, it was the car scene was just after they closed that one breach,
Right. That's
and
correct.
they were in the Barry and Wells were in the van driving back.
Oh, yeah, he gets the call. Yeah.
Yeah, I think at that point Wells was gonna tell him.
No, he was. Yeah, he was like, Barry, I got to tell you something. And he's like, hold on, I got a call. And then
I gotta go.
he's like, I got to go, I got to go. And then but did you notice that it was
He
like a really
switches them.
split second? Yeah, he puts him in the driver's seat and then he leaves. And Harrison Wells is like, oh crap, I guess I'm driving now.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good. Oh man, he was about to tell him too, because I mean, which is really cool. A very good arc with this Harrison Wells right now, because you see him feeling for Barry, and he doesn't want to. Like even in the beginning, when Barry's like, "Oh man," he's like, "I know you're not the same Wells, but the other one was like a mentor," and he's like, "It's kind of cool to work together with you again. It's like old times."
Yeah.
And then he's like, he didn't want to hear it. He doesn't want to hear all this nice stuff from him because he doesn't want to feel anything for him.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I have to focus all my feelings and energy on my daughter to try and get her back and use your speed. And he's like, I'm gonna betray you, even though he told him, and he's like, I told you I would. And it's just it's kind of it's very sad to see him go through that,
Yeah.
because he's like, I really need to save my daughter, and I don't want to work for this evil Zoom guy, but he's gonna kill her, and I have to betray you. But then he's like, I don't want to be this bad guy to you either, because I don't think he doesn't, because remember in earlier in this season he's like, I'm not that Harrison Wells. He's like, I'm not that guy you thought was evil. But then he has to play this kind of pseudo evil character, to Barry,
Yeah.
working with Zoom, and so he's very conflicted, which I love to see, and then at the end, it's just so good. I think I can't remember what my hero moment was, but I think the Flash one might top the hero moment I picked, because just that end when he's like, you know what, he did the same thing Cisco did with saving his brother,
Yeah.
and what would you do, if your daughter was in trouble with Iris, uh, to West, to Captain West, and it's just like, he's like, I gotta help him. He's like, we have to help your daughter too. He's like, even if it does cost me my speed or other. He's like, we have to figure this out. We're gonna go to Earth 2 with you instead of send you home and close all the breaches. So it was really good, with that, and it's so close to my hero moment with Ray Palmer doing his fantastic voyage, inside of Shiara, but I think that one might top it. Very good episode of The Flash. I mean, not the best, but very cool villain at the end, especially with that lava monster with tar pit. Even though he lasted 2 seconds with that bomb, but
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't kill him though. They put him inside the cell, right? Did they
Yep.
even show that?
I don't think they did.
Yeah, they just showed they froze him. He blew up, or his outer shell blew up,
Yeah, and he went back to
and
his normal
then
self.
the kid was to himself. He was back to his regular human looking, messed up self. And then it was just like Harrison Wells was inside the containment unit. So I think maybe they did. They just didn't explain it or show it. Put him in the power dampering cell there, but I don't know. I mean, he
They
could
they
get out.
must have. They must have
Yeah,
put him.
yeah. I don't think they need to show it really. Like, that's kind of what they do now, with the
Yeah.
villains. So, which is very interesting. I still like to know how they, how they regulate their like feeding and bathroom area and all this stuff. Like, you know what I mean? It's just
Yeah,
like they're
exactly.
in this cell forever. I mean,
Ha ha ha.
maybe a couple of these guys don't need to use the restroom or eat, but absorbing power and things like that. But I mean, there's some kind of human characters that are still in there that have to, use
Yeah.
the restroom
There's a
and
bunch of
eat
people
some
in there.
kind of food.
Exactly.
But good episode. And then that's the last one, right? Of the Flash. The
Yeah.
next episode they're going to be in Earth 2, which is
Oh,
awesome.
so
So we're going to
excited.
see Deathstorm and Killer Frost, which is going to be fantastic.
I'm so excited for Earth too. So pumped.
A lot of cool stuff to come. Very interested to see those two. Like we talked about last episode, Bonnie and Clyde it up against Barry. So and also with the different Barry and different Joe West, and I think Iris is like the cop in that episode or in
All
that
right,
in
all
that
the
world.
doppelgangers. Yeah.
Yeah, the different what I'm seeing here basically because we've already talked about um, Legends of Tomorrow. Jonah Hex coming up. That's one piece of news, and then we have the Flash thing that's happening with the Earth 2, and you got Barry, and Barry is like a scientist, I think, like a Harrison Wells style scientist. Is that right?
Yeah, I think so.
And from that, what I saw was that we had Iris as like the police officer in that episode, and it looked like Joe West was singing. Like I don't know, like he's had a mic or something. So I'm not sure what they're doing with that, but we got some cool Earth stuff. It says I have a little article here, and one of the quotes says Barry, Wells, and Cisco journey to Earth 2 to rescue Wells' daughter Jessie, who is the guest star Violet Bean from Zoom. Barry is stunned when he runs into Earth 2 Iris and Joe, but nothing prepares him for meeting Killer Frost and Deathstorm, which is Robbie Amell coming back. But meanwhile, back on Earth 1, Jay, I didn't know this, has to take over the Flash's responsibilities from this metahuman called Geomancer, uh,
Oh,
who's attacking Central City. So I don't even know who Geomancer is, but the pictures they have, there's like 23 cool pictures on comingsoon.net that show the Flash and show all the villains, and like
nice.
Joe West is like a lounge singer. It looks like, and it looks very 30s, like the world, like the Earth 2, that world, or wherever Central City is in that world, looks very 40s, like old school 40s, like dress. Like it's really weird. Like everyone's in that like garb, that 40s style garb, like
Yeah.
very old school, which is kind of cool looking. And so they, it's like you get these heroes and villains in that kind of sort of time period, which looks cool.
Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
So I guess we can just get into news from there. I have a few things up here. Do you have any news that you wanted to talk about, or just
No, I'll just go on with what you've got.
okay? So following that, we'll save the best for last, which is the crossover. But with Arrow, we have Vixen coming, which is really cool because the Vixen that played in the animated CW, or not CW, yeah, CW Seed show they did. It was like 3-minute episodes, but there were like 10 of them, and it was an animated series of basically the origin and backstory of Vixen, who like can call on animals and use their power,
Awesome.
which is really cool, and with like an amulet that she wears around her neck. I guess very what was it White Cat or who's the character in Marvel that's on the animated Spider-Man Ultimate Spider-Man show? Uh, it's like White Tiger, a White Tiger, very very similar. They're like exactly the same character from DC and Marvel. She calls on the animals' power, and then she uses their abilities basically. And so she's going to appear. But the same voice actress that did the voice in the animated series is actually the actress in the show, which will
That's
be really
awesome.
cool to see. Yeah, it's very cool. I like how they did that. So they teased her. They have a cool image of her on one of the on comicbook.com uh, that it's like her crouching, but it has like a wolf in like a blue mist next to her, like she's calling on a wolf in that scene, which looks pretty cool. And so that's going to happen in Arrow. And then we have Greg Berlanti, the showrunner for all these super shows on CW, is teased something on Twitter about a possible season 3 of the animated series Young Justice that was canceled like 4 years ago on Cartoon Network, and that was a
Awesome.
great show. It was such a fun animated series, and I think they got a little bit too deep into the villain of that series, like that alien. I can't remember the damn name of that villain that they had in there, but it was like it ran a little bit too long with that same exact villain in that series, and I think that's where it kind of got lost in itself. And then people were getting bored with it. They didn't really venture out into other things other than that one villain they were taking care of. And
Right.
damn, I wish I could remember the name, but it was like some alien thing that was had a play in making Superboy, and they were trying to, it was like controlling him at one point, and then they were trying to take over the world at one point. And anyway, it was a very good cartoon. One of the best newest DC animated cartoons, especially with the voice cast, and then also with the Justice League coming in, because they had really cool team ups with some of the Justice League. So hopefully it can come back, and they're saying it might on Netflix, or at least that's what Greg Berlanti
Nice.
was talking about. So and Greg Weisman, I guess the guy who's uh, working on the show, Young Justice as well. So that could happen, and I really hope it does, because they could really do some great stuff with that. Yeah, it got canceled in 2013, so about 3 years ago. Um, some Walking Dead news. We have some Negan stuff coming on. I know you're not really caught up on some of that, but he's like a big villain in the comics. That's still in the comics right now. He's not dead in the comics. It's not really a spoiler, but apparently Andrew Lincoln, who plays Rick Grimes, he's a really horrific villain in this show, and
Awesome.
he's drastically different from they saying this second half of this season is drastically different, like that's a quote from Andrew, than the first half of this season. So I think that Jeffrey Dean Morgan coming in as Negan is going to just completely flip the show over, and it's going to be a wild ride. They said he is a completely different villain from the governor, and Lincoln says, he quotes here on comicbook.com, he had a quote saying that the governor was magnificent, and David Morrissey did a beautiful job of playing him, but Negan is horrific. He says he's an incredible tyrant, and this he's very charismatic, funny, and brutal beyond words psychopath. So he says, what else does he say? He's like, I'm interested in the relationship between Negan and Carl, and Carl and Rick. It's like that's a very complicated, extraordinary psychopath between those characters. It's like I'm just thrilled that we are getting a place to where it feels deep, dark, thrilling, and dangerous. So it's gonna be good. He's gonna be a very different villain, because in the comics, I don't know how they're gonna do like his character, but he's so he Jeffrey Dean Morgan said in a different interview that like they're trying to keep him as close to the comic as possible, like as close, like more than any other character. And because Jeffrey Dean Morgan's like a comic book fan, and he was like super excited to play this character because when he said that he got the call from AMC or from his agent, and he's like, they want you to play a guy, but they don't have the name yet. And he's like, I totally know who they want me to play because it's at that time because he watches the show and he reads the comics. So because obviously he's a comic guy because he was the comedian in Watchmen and everything, and
Yeah.
he's kind of up and up on that. So he was like super excited. He's like, I know who I'm gonna play, and he's like, I'm totally gonna do it. He's like, just say yes. He's like, you don't even. The agent was like, you don't even know who he's gonna play. He's like, I know who I'm gonna play. And it was pretty cool. So he was like super psyched about it when he got the job, and he's like taking it extremely seriously, and he really wants to play the character exactly like the comic. But in the comic, the character is like F word every like sentence or twice a sentence. So I don't know how they're going to deal with the language of his character, but I think they can completely do everything else his character does, which is exciting because he's brutal and he's scary and he's funny and he's very human, but like very psychopath human. But he's very smart and he's very serious in how he has like an explanation and for everything that he does. He's very justifiable in a certain way in his like in this world that he lives in, The Walking Dead, which is very exciting to see. So I'm hoping I don't know when he's going to appear, and no one does. That hasn't really been disclosed. But the Walking Dead comes back on Valentine's Day on AMC, and um, I wonder when he's going to show up because there's still I think 9 or 7 episodes left of the. I'm not sure. I think they do 16, so they did the first 8, and then they have another 8 or something after the break. So we'll see what happens with that. But he's going to be a pretty cool new character when he shows up. And then I guess back to Legends of Tomorrow, we got that new poster of Legends of Tomorrow, and you saw that, right,
I did. Yeah.
Tyler?
Yep.
Yeah, no Hawkman, obviously. So I think that he might be gone for a while, as far as the poster kind of confirms. And with that episode, being that he's kind of like that guy that brings the gang together, or the death that brings the gang together. Like he Coulsoned them. I guess we're gonna coin that since it's kind of happening with two big teams now. Um, so that's new. A very cool poster. Everybody very looking up and super heroic on the poster, very comic book like, which I really like to see. And then we got more Walking Dead news. A character in the comics by the name of Jesus. They call him that because he looks like Jesus. He actually has a real name, which I don't know right now. I can't remember from the comics, but he's a really cool character and he kicks ass. And he's a part of um, a group that they end up finding. He's kind of like a spy that goes and spies on from the hilltop in the comics. He goes and spies on other characters that are getting close to the hilltop, and the hilltop is like a safe haven location with like a mansion. And um, I don't know if this is going to happen in the show, so it's not really spoilers, but. He is from a place called the Hilltop in the comics, and he ends up spying on the Rick's group, and then kind of joining them and bringing them to the hilltop. And they don't trust him at first, but they realize he's kind of a good guy. So it'll be interesting to see this character appear in the show. They have an actor for him already, which is interesting. And I think they said his real name in the comic is Paul Monroe, and I think he's making his appearance on the first episode, showing up here on Valentine's Day, which is kind of cool. So the actor's name is Tom Payne, and I guess he's been on a HBO show called Luck that was on a couple seasons ago. So he'll be appearing as Jesus.
Awesome.
And like we already talked about the Supergirl thing, we got young Kal-El, and they casted that actor, and I guess the episode is called "For a Girl Who Has Everything," and that's a pull from the comic that Alan Moore did. I think it was called the Man Who Has Everything, or the Superman that has everything, or something like that. So they kind of ripped that title from that comic uh, to pay homage, I guess, to that with her whole story, since they're doing the Mercy tentacle monster storyline,
Yeah.
which is really cool. So that's happening. What else do we have here? Oh, have you heard about the casting of Legion? They have three actors who are going to be in the
I
FX show
yeah, I
Legion. That's
saw
based.
something about it. I didn't read too much into it.
Yeah, well, um, they have David Steven, or I'm sorry, Dan Steven, and who's an actor. I can't remember from where. Um, I think he's from like High School Musical or something, or the guest. I guess he was on a show called The Guest or a movie called The Guest. He will be playing a certain character. Um, and then you have, oh, he's playing, I'll just read it right here. He'll be playing David. Dan Stevens is playing David, and he's diagnosed as schizophrenic at a young age. David is a haunted man trying to find his way back to sanity, but he's getting tired and is about to give up when he meets a girl of his dreams who is Lenny. And Lenny is played by Audrey Plaza, who is from Parks and Rec, and she's David's friend who, despite the life of drugs and alcohol abuse, knows that any day now her life is going to turn around, which gives Lenny the likable energy for the impossible optimist, despite her rough demeanor. And then we have a couple other characters, Rachel Keller and Jean Smart, and this other lady was the mother in this season two of Fargo, and she's like an older actress. I'm not sure who they're playing, but anyway, it's a new show on that is still in development. It hasn't really been confirmed or with like a pilot or anything like that. But FX is doing this X-Men series called Legion, and it's based on this kid who is Professor X's son. That's what the comic is about, and I think that's what they're doing with the show. And they said that the show is not in the same like time or universe as the movies, which is interesting because it's like the only show. I mean, it's Fox, so it's not like a Marvel property,
Right.
Marvel owned. So I guess they can do that, and do different universes with that. But that'll be the first thing that is like other universe, like um, in the Marvel universe that's never been connected to any other X-Men property. So it'll be interesting to see how different we can see. Like, will we see a X-Men, or will we see other X-Men or villains, or even a Professor X, since this is like his kid who's the star of the show, and who will play him, kind of thing. But that's look for that. I think it's called Legion, and we'll see how that goes down the road. But they're casting, so I guess it's kind of being confirmed, even though there's no pilot set for that yet. And then the last big news is the Flash Supergirl crossover.
So pumped.
Yeah, why don't you go talk about a little bit about that, and we'll get into that.
Sorry, hang on. Hi, come here. I got a dog.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah, so we're finally getting we're basically getting confirmed that the Flash and Supergirl are going to be kind of in the same universe, world, whatever you want to call it. The episode's going to be called World's Finest, no apostrophe. So
Yeah, that's the thing. People were hinting at that. They're like, they did that for a reason. Grant Gustin, he posted a picture of the title script of the title page,
yeah,
and it says Supergirl, and it's episode one. It's episode season 1, 18. The story is by Greg Berlanti, which is really cool, and Andrew Kreisberg and Michael Grassi. So like the big names of this series are doing this crossover, which is cool. So it's not just some other writers that have been doing the show. Not that they're bad, but these are the big wigs making these story changes and this crossover, which is cool. So it's World's Finest, but there's no apostrophe, so it's not like the Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman World's Finest. They're I think they're saying, loosely saying, that Supergirl is from one of the different Earths that is breached.
yeah,
So it's not going to be Earth 1 Flash Arrow universe Supergirl. It is a Earth question mark Supergirl, which is
yeah.
very cool.
Very excited.
Yeah, so I think Flash is going to go into her universe because it's her episode, and she's not going through universes, not yet anyway. But we always thought this was going to be a rumor, or this was never happened in her first season. But I guess everyone's, all the hubbub and everyone's kind of like, we got to do a crossover. We want to see it. We want to see it. Then they wrote it in, which is awesome. So I guess that's what we have to wait for.
Yeah, I'm really
It's
excited
going
for
to be
that.
at the end of March. That's gonna happen.
It's gonna be awesome. I
Yeah,
can't wait.
it's
Cannot wait.
it's going to be fantastic. I don't know. We don't know anything else about it other than that it's actually confirmed and happening. And then but it's just wild. It's like, wow, it's really cool that this is happening. Um, we're going to see other. I wonder how. Okay, so by the end of March, how many Earths do you think we're going to see in Flash? You know what I
I
mean?
I don't I don't
You
think
want to
we're
make
gonna
a
see
bet?
that. I don't. I'm gonna have to think on that one.
I mean, we're already going to see. We didn't really see the one they closed, but that's one. And then we know there's Earth 2, but are we going to see any more by the end of March? I mean, that's more than a month away. That's almost a full 2 months away. So that's like 8 episodes,
Yeah.
8 episodes of both series. But I don't think there's really going to be too much with Supergirl's crossing universes. So lots of Flash stuff to happen in between that time that could bring him to many different universes. Especially, well, the feeling I get, the thinking that I have with this is I think there's going to be a lot of like racing through different universes trying to catch Zoom, you know. So I think that might come into play. Like they'll be going so fast and running through, like trying to lose each other in like a race or trying to catch each other. I think Zoom might be trying to jump through a um, bunch of different universes to lose Barry as he chases after him. That's kind of something
Oh,
that I have.
maybe.
You know what I mean? That could happen. Um, but yeah, it's Supergirl and Flash crossover that like, oh, it just blows my mind. It's so cool to see that,
It's gonna
and
be awesome.
yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, so let's go into our Pixel picks of the week. Why don't you go with your fight? Your
The fight scene with in Legends.
the Sarah Lance fighting the guards, the first fight scene.
Yeah, that
That was mine too. The
just
very
so
first fight scene
cool.
with the bloodlust.
Yeah, it's just kicks the crap out of everybody.
Oh my
So
god! And
good.
she's like freaking out too. She's like, "Oh, I almost killed this guy with this sword, but we need his information."
Yeah,
Oh man, good stuff. Great fight. She was whooping everyone's ass, and Rip Hunter was like, "Stop!" and she just stopped.
yeah.
Uh, all right, so we got that. Most heroic character. Who you got for this episode or this week?
I'm taking the Flash.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay.
with being the bigger guy and going and helping Harrison and going to Earth too.
Okay. Okay. That I mean that works. That's a really valid choice there. I went a different route. I went Ray Palmer, um, making that decision, like overcoming that fear and of like his suit and going small and then going inside and saving Shiara from those.
Yeah,
That was very heroic for me. Um, very close to the one you chose, but yeah, I think just him overcoming that and talking with Professor Stein. I think that, and him like kind of lying to him a little bit to kind of boost his ego to become that heroic character that he kind of wants to be and that legend he's trying to be. I think it was pretty cool to see him shrink down inside her blood vessels and blast the shards. I thought that was pretty cool. Uh, my baddest ass villain of the week is Vandal Savage again. Against Rip Hunter at the end of that episode. Just so evil. Just really, really bad. And especially remembering those names of his wife and son. Oh, just like I'm gonna remember it forever, and I'll never forget their names, so I can kill them. And it's just so bad. What'd you choose?
I'm going Tar Pit for this week.
Oh, cool.
That was awesome.
It was really cool. It was very, very, it's very cinematic with that bad guy. Very comic booky, which was good. Um, All right. And then we talked about the feels a bit. Which one are you picking for your definite feel?
The Captain Cold from Legends.
Yeah, that was really good. I'm still gonna go with the I think the Rip Hunter one. I think that one overpowers the Ray Palmer one when his fiance. I think the Rip Hunter just like noticing he messed up by saying their names in his desperation and like to try and slitting his throat, Vandal Savage's throat, just like, oh crap, he's like, I should have never said that. And just like his family trying to take revenge for his family. And oh, it was pretty sad for me. uh that's what I got. And best use of powers and abilities. What do you
I'm
think, Tyler?
sticking with Tar Pit.
Oh yeah, oh,
Yeah.
it was pretty cool. I only see. I don't know why. It seems hard for me. There's so many shows sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like think of all the different things. Um, but I think I'm gonna have to go. I don't know if this really counts as like power abilities, but I'm going with the immortality thing, and the whole ritual that Savage
Oh,
used.
sure. Yeah.
I mean, that was just like a very cool display of his power instead of like the you can be only one power transfer. I was like, that really surprised me. So when he slit his throat and he was sharing the blood with all his like uh his people and just absorbing the power that way, it was so dark and it was just like, wow, his own immortality, this is his power, and he needs this. It was pretty cool. And the the WTF cliffhanger. What do you got with that?
Supergirl.
Okay,
That
that was
that
pretty good.
that was
The egg
my
hatching.
yeah. Like what the hell?
Yeah, that got me. I was like, oh my god, no! But I'm gonna have to go with the calculator thing. I think I was a little bit more surprised at that with like
Yeah, that was
dad,
pretty
and
good.
I'm like, what? The calculator is Felicity's dad. I thought that was pretty cool. And in the ending, when him and Ollie are sitting there watching Felicity do her speech, and he's like, she's a pretty remarkable girl, and he's like, yeah, she is. And you're like, oh, what? Oh my
Yeah.
god, I thought that was pretty cool. Other than that, the strongest show for me was Legends. What was yours?
I'm going with X Files since we've added it to our
Oh,
list.
okay, okay. I was gonna pick a super show, but no, yeah, that was. Yeah, that's a tie. I'm gonna have to say that's a tie for me. If we're gonna put that into
Yeah.
the Pixel Picks of the week, I'm gonna have to tie with that because Legends was so good, but in such a different way from X Files because it was so funny. But they're neck and neck for me, I think.
Right
And
on.
there wasn't any really.
Yeah, there wasn't any Easter eggs this week. I don't.
Yeah, I
We,
didn't really. I mean, unless you count. Um, I don't know. Yeah, I really can't think of any. I was trying to, but I mean, the Easter eggs weren't really Easter eggs. They were like new characters. Like you
yeah.
got. I mean, unless you try and count that Tar Pit looks like Clayface, but that's such a stretch. Other than that, I think that's pretty much it for our Pixel Picks of the week. Real quick, um, we really don't have much else going on
No,
other than
that's it.
that. So, what other shows are you watching other than that?
That's
Just
you
your
know
other
what. That's
stuff?
all I watched this week.
Yeah, it was a pretty busy week this week for me too. I can't really remember anything. I didn't watch any. I watched Lucky Man. Ness still really good. He got to use his luck powers to like he tested him out on this card trick kind of guy, and he guessed right every time because he has the luck. I thought that was pretty cool. Um, he's still trying to figure out how that bracelet works, but that was pretty good. I didn't watch. I haven't watched Second Chance again, but I'm really digging that show. I think you'd really like it. Um, Pretty much the show, guys. So if you have any questions or concerns, you can always find us on social media. And Tyler, why don't you go hit us up with
Yeah.
all that info real
So
quick?
you can go to us on Facebook.com/SuperBoobTubeDudes. We're on Twitter at SBoobTubeDudes. And then you can find we have our website, superboobtubedudes.com, which you can just click on the Facebook or Twitter logos and it'll take you right to our pages,
Oh, that's
which
cool.
is really simple. And then we also have a contact form, so superboobtubedudes/contact, and you can fill out that form and send us an email. If that's too easy for you, you can always go into your email and go podcast@superboobtubedudes.com and send us an email that way.
Keep tubing, and we'll be back next week with more superhero shows and comic book TV talk and everything. All right, so keep boob tubing, guys.
Thank you for listening to another Rabble Press podcast. Please contact us through our website, rabblepress.com/contact. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and follow your favorite podcasts on Twitter.